Welcome back to Coaching with the Bible. This week, a bonus episode first, Upon Reflection Part 2. When we completed the book of Genesis some 10, 11 weeks ago, we took a minute to just reflect and review. First, we had a moment of gratitude and appreciation that our efforts were rewarded, and that the idea that there is a link and a connection between ancient biblical principles and personalities and timely and current thinking on life, personal development and growth and work, that there's a happy medium and a happy connection between those two, simply showed that what we're trying to accomplish actually worked. And that a number of you really have jumped in and taken this idea along with you and have shared all kinds of really interesting insights and ideas as well. But we also took an opportunity to reflect on what we had done at the end of the first book of Genesis, and the idea that we had developed a base principle after going through 12 weeks, a base principle that the book of Genesis was simply about the idea of owning the action in our lives and not being acted upon, but actually acting. And that at every moment there is the opportunity to act and the opportunity to react. And that we prefer to be in a space where we are the ones acting upon things, and rather than having things acting upon us, and to be accountable and responsible for that. So then, what is the sort of unifying principle that we've developed in the book of Exodus as we've come to the end of the book of Exodus, and we're about to begin the book of Leviticus, the book known in Hebrew as Vayikra? What did we get to? We talked about a lot of really cool and important ideas and met some very, very important and powerful personalities in the book of Exodus. We met Moses, we met Pharaoh, we met Jethro, we met Esther, because we, slight divergence to talk about the holiday of Purim and the book of Esther. We talked about the people, and we talked about their successes and their failures. We talked about how hard it is to begin. We talked about expectations. We talked about being stubborn. We talked about complaining and the benefit or the lack of benefit in complaining. We talked about giving and getting advice when we learned about Jethro. We learned about the sacred character development of empathy. Really talked a lot about that. We talked about really having sacred space and sacred time, because we talked in the section on Teruma about building sacred spaces. We talked about last week having and managing and really taking care and ownership of time. We talked about dealing with crisis and how one deals with crisis. And we talked about finding our why. Some really important topics, really about life and work and relationships and people and successes and failures. And so to me, what it seems to be, and it should not be a surprise to anyone, is that the book of Exodus is very much about the growing pains. It's very much about the path from failure to success and the path from darkness to light. And that is the story of the people of Israel in the book itself. The beginning of the book, they're slaves. End of the book, they're a free nation, having just received the 10 Commandments on the mountain, having just built a temple to God in the desert. So an incredible growth path for the people. But it wasn't simple and it wasn't easy. And neither are our own successes and our own growth and our own maturity in life. And so all those principles really go into that space specifically. The idea that our path to success is built on the shoulders of our failures, and our victories are strewn with the defeats that have come along the way. And to appreciate that the only way, it seems, the only way we're really able to grow and really deepen ourselves and advance ourselves as people, as community, as successes, is by having to go through that fire, those situations, those moments, and to come out on the other side stronger, steeled in a way that we can go forward, that we can really pursue excellence and success on the other side of it. So just as it was the case for the people of Israel, so it is the case for us as individuals. And that to really appreciate the idea that countering, as Maya Angelou once said, to encounter the defeats, we must encounter the defeats, but not let it and not be defeated by those situations. And we have to appreciate the defeats because the defeats help us understand who we are, what we can rise from, how we come out of it on the other side, and how we're far better for having gone through them in the first place, as difficult and as sometimes incomprehensible as they may be, as hard as some of those situations may be for us to understand and comprehend and wrap our minds around. The idea that in many, many, many cases, people come out on the other side, like the people of Israel come out of the other side, coming out of the other side of the water, and coming on the other side of the Mount Sinai experience, and the other side of the complaining, and the other side of the golden calf, to be in a space where they can build a temple and serve God in that space. So we really want to understand and know that the idea of the Exodus story for us is very much the same as it was for the people of Israel at the time, and that it is our growth from infancy to adulthood, from individual to community, and from person to people. Have a great one. See you as we begin the book of Leviticus later in the week.